Michigan, and also to be able to extend to some of our employers that live a little bit more far away, such as Munson. So we can't always have them on campus. So they were here this week. So we're thankful for them to be here twice in 1 week, once in person and one virtual. So I will just start out with just basic civil question, where I just would love each organization to introduce who you are and the organization you work for. And I will kind of lead through and I'll call you out when I want you to. So I'll start with Corewell with Terry. If you just want to tell us a little bit, who's Corewell and who are you? Oops, Terry, I can't hear you. Still no audio.
It looks like we're having some audio issues, so we can go to someone else. And
yeah,
then
let's try. We'll do Ebony with Trinity Health. So tell us again, who are you?
Hi, hi, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for inviting me to this panel. I'm Ebony Saunders. I am a senior talent partner with Trinity Health, Michigan. Trinity Health is headquartered out of Livonia, Michigan, and we have about 90 hospitals across 20 different states, and we are a nonprofit Catholic healthcare ministry. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. And you are big. Most people think of Trinity maybe as just in this location, but you are a very large organization. So thank you for being here and representing Trinity.
Thank you.
Michelle from Munson.
Hello, everyone. Yes, Michelle Hudak from Munson Healthcare, one of a big group of recruiters that is joining you today. Munson Healthcare is the largest and leading healthcare system in northern Michigan. Most people are familiar with our flagship hospital in Traverse City, but we also have locations in Cadillac, Charlevoix, Grayling, Kalkaska, Manistee, Gaylord, and Frankfort. And along with those hospitals, we also have about 100 primary care clinics, ambulatory clinics located throughout northern Michigan.
Right.
So glad to be joining you today.
Yes, and thank you again. Larger than we think. We think Traverse City, we think Munson, but not knowing you have all of those other areas. Thank you. Terry, do you want to see how your audio is doing here now? If you want to see if that works. Still cannot hear you.
Terry, one thing you could try to do is unplug your headphones real quick and then plug
Yeah.
them back in. Sometimes it can be a little funky with Zoom.
Okay.
Oh.
We heard you for a moment, so we'll go ahead and move to someone else, and I will message you.
All right, Hannah, Mary Free Bed. Tell us a little bit about what is Mary Free Bed and what do you do?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Hannah Heisler. I am with Mary Free Bed Rehabilitation Hospital in Grand Rapids. So I do all of the volunteer services here. So we have a couple different programs for volunteers who are going into physical therapy, occupational therapy, recreational therapy. So us being a rehabilitation hospital means lots of those areas. And we too are a lot bigger than you may think. We have lots of satellite offices all throughout Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois. So very happy to be here.
Right, and I think many people probably have seen your wonderful campaign, the campaigns that you could drive by, Restoring Hope and Freedom, or those fun little ads. So we definitely know the name, but we don't always know what Mary Free Bed does. So thank you for that as well. And Jessica from Sunset Communities, tell us a little bit about who you are and what your organization is.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jessica Alberg, and I'm from Sunset Senior Communities. I am the Senior HR Manager for Sunset, and we have 4 locations in the West Michigan area. So we have 2 in Jenison, 1 in Granville, and then we also have a location in Grand Haven. And yeah, we serve seniors. So we have assisted living as well as independent living and private duty care.
Awesome. And you are basically in our backyard at Grand Valley here in Allendale. Yes. So it's a nice, easy drive for students who are looking for close by employment. All right, Kara from Interim Health Care of West Michigan. And tell us a little bit more about what you do.
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for having us. So my role with the organization with Interim Healthcare of West Michigan is really twofold. I am the hospice volunteer coordinator with our hospice services. So there are a variety of roles that students can do in our hospice volunteer program. And then I also am a recruiter for our hospice program and also our home healthcare division as well. So I recruit RNs, CNAs, PTs, OTs, just a variety, social workers, chaplains for both our home healthcare and hospice divisions.
All right. Thank you. And thank you for joining us with our panel this year. So we're excited to have you on. All right. And last but not least, because Terry won't forget you, but I talked to Jeff here real quick. Jeff's always been on our panel. We love Helix Scribe Academy. So Jeff, tell us a little bit more about what you offer and what you have.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much again for this opportunity. So I'm Jeff. I'm the program director for the Scribe Academy here at GVSU. It's a unique program. It's a partnership between GVSU and Helix Scribe Solutions. So we are actually recruiting students to work as scribes, entry-level position. And we're around West Michigan. We're in emergency departments and medical offices, helping doctors with their charts, really paid job shadowing, if you're looking for pre-professional health experiences. So thank you.
Right, thanks. And Terry, let's see if we can get it this time. So you're on.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. So, okay. So what is Corewell? We know this is a new name, but
Right. So my name is Terry Morris. I'm one of the volunteer coordinators here at Corewell Health. You know us probably as Spectrum Health, and we place volunteers at Butterworth Hospital, at Blodgett Hospital in downtown Grand Rapids, also at Lemon Holton Cancer Pavilion. And I am happy to say that we will be opening up the Helen DeVos Children's Hospital for new volunteers in the next couple of months. We're starting to bring back our pre-COVID volunteers now.
Awesome. Great. Well, it sounds like an amazing amount of opportunities for students here today. So that will be our next question. So I will be asking, what opportunities do you have at your site? Those could be direct, indirect, so patient care, maybe even clinical. And then a kind of a second part, do you work around maybe student schedules? So I'll help maybe pull some more questions out as we go around here, just if I have more things I'd like to ask, but that's the base question. So Terry, I'm just going to bring it back to you. What opportunities do you have at your site? You kind of told me a little bit, but tell me a little bit more. What do you have even non-direct, direct care?
So for direct patient care, we have this incredible volunteer opportunity called our Compassion in Action Volunteer. And those volunteers are assigned to a patient unit, the same unit each week that they come to volunteer, and they round on patients, and they're helping to fulfill any non-medical needs that they may have. So that could be you've got somebody who doesn't have any visitors and they're anxious and worried. And so you're going to go into the room and you're going to spend time with them and maybe distract them and play a game with them or read to them. You're looking around the room and figuring out, do their curtains need to be closed because the sun is coming in? Do they need help working the remote control? Do they want a glass of water or a snack? Does their family want to go down to eat and want somebody to stay with the patient while they leave? Or do the family need directions somewhere? So really any of those non-medical needs in order to help take the pressure off of our nursing staff so that they can focus on the medical. And then when the patients are all set, they also help the nursing staff with things like putting blankets in blanket warmers and doing things that directly support the nursing staff. We do have some non-medical or non-direct patient opportunities like our wayfinders, who are here to help stressed out family members find their patient's room because it's such a big hospital, or direct visitors to where they need to go. It's a great opportunity to build your communication skills, and it is also a great opportunity to get your steps in. Our average volunteer in 4 hours will put 12,000 steps on.
Yeah.
So there's two purposes in one.
Definitely.
So those are just a couple of our different opportunities.
Awesome.
And we do work with the schedules. So we have different opportunities on different floors that are available, some on weekends, a few on nights. We work, we understand that school comes first. So we're going to look at the student's schedule and try to place them in something that works good for their personality and what they're looking to gain, but also with their schedule.
And they would just apply online at the volunteer services page at Corewell. Is that the best way to?
They go to spectrumhealth.org, and then there's 3 little dots in the corner. They go to those, hit volunteers, and then Grand Rapids. And I can put the link in the chat.
Perfect. Love it. And then obviously with Corewell, there are clinical opportunities, what for CNAs or nurse techs. I know that is not your role, but just to encourage students that there are other more clinical related opportunities. But for those of you who might not, quite sure about doing that yet, this is a great way to just start building that career in a hospital. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, Ebony, if you want to tell us a little bit about Trinity, what opportunities you may have for students, whether that be paid, unpaid, volunteering, even shadowing, what way you have.
Yes, thank you. Just like Terry, we also have quite a few opportunities for students to get some entry-level patient care type experience as well as volunteer. Some of the more entry-level opportunities that are very impactful. We have patient care assistants. They all work in all of our units. We have patient transporters and MRI aides. Our patient transporters, they're in our imaging departments, and essentially they're transporting patients that are inpatient to obtain their imaging services. And then MRI aides, they have an opportunity of being that first point of contact when patients come in from an external. Some MRIs are scheduled as outpatient. They have an opportunity to meet and greet the patient and then kind of go over the requirements, making sure that they're ready to take their test for today. Essentially, that are not so patient care, we have environmental services. We have our dietary service workers, which are very impactful in providing nourishment and cleanliness to the patient rooms and common areas of the hospital. We have registration specialists, which is always near and dear to my heart. I always say that's going to be my retirement job.
Yes, that's that first point of contact. I mean, the registering, getting everything set. So yeah.
Absolutely. And it can be, it is quite impactful. You're registering patients that come into the emergency department. Sometimes it's pre-registration for patients that are coming in for surgical procedure. So it is very important and impactful work for sure. And then sort of on our volunteer side, we have a host of volunteer type opportunities. We have gift shop volunteers, which could be dangerous because I love a good hospital gift shop. We have hospitality greeters. They are the kind of that first point of contact when people come in. We all know when we go anywhere, we're lost. And so our hospitality greeters are very instrumental in ensuring that visitors are placed or going in the right direction of where they need to go. One area that I really like is our musical volunteers. You know, they play the calming music throughout the hospital. I think that's a really great opportunity that they provide for patients. It's very
unique,
calming. Just a whole host, patient advocates, where they're working with the clinical staff, just being that voice for the patient. If they need water, drawing their curtains and things of that nature. So there are plenty of opportunities. I always say in healthcare, there is a world of opportunity for work outside of being a physician or even a registered nurse. There are so many opportunities within healthcare.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of these opportunities is for students just to get in and see how big. I always say it's like a city. There's so many moving parts and pieces, and to get exposure to it early on is good. So, and another question I'll kind of go off is, since Trinity is such a large organization, how does a student go about knowing where to apply, how to apply? Is there one site? Because are you representing more of the east side, or is this like, how do they, like, where do they know how to apply?
Yeah, it's actually one website, and it's Trinity health trinityhealth.org. And they have an opportunity. You will see all of our jobs across all, our entire ministry. So once you go to the trinityhealth.org website, along the left-hand side, you're able to select what city and or state you're interested in working in. And as you mentioned, it is a lot. I am the West Side, but all of the jobs for Michigan will be there, as well as some other areas out of state as well.
Okay, perfect. And we know students come to us from all over, so it's very helpful to have outside
Absolutely.
options. So thank you. Yes. All
Absolutely.
right, Michelle from Munson, tell us a little bit about what you have available for students.
Well, if they want to do it, we have it.
And you've got a lot of summer stuff too, don't you? I know your need is high in the summer.
Absolutely, it is. Currently, we are looking for nursing assistants to fill summer vacancies. And we have walk-in events, or you can apply the nursing students, or actually any student that is looking to get nursing assistant type experience can apply online. We have food service and environmental service options for the summer. I know many times students don't think that that is a pathway to healthcare, but it certainly, in many cases, is direct patient care. They have, or not care, excuse me, but they're working with patients in a different capacity. But it also gets them in the hospital, and we have several different hospitals throughout northern Michigan that they can assist in and get to know individuals, start that networking career early on. We are really eager to have students and individuals who are interested in rural healthcare in particular. We are in locations that people like to vacation. So that is one of the draws to our communities. But really would like to draw individuals back home. I did put in the chat opportunities for volunteering, information for our careers website, as well as our general website as well. And we have clinical rotations, externships, internships, apprenticeships, residency programs. We have another summer student internship through our physician health organization for individuals who are interested in an APP or potentially considering a physician to assist them in learning about rural communities and what we have to offer there, and give them kind of mentors and individuals that they can ask questions as they navigate through a very interesting process when it comes to becoming a doctor or APP.
Yeah.
And we have business related roles. We have fellowships available to business related. Anybody interested in those are posted in the fall on the ACAF website. There's not enough time, I guess, really,
I can see it.
for
Definitely.
the options that we do have available.
Yeah, and I know your challenge is housing. So if people have family cottages up there and you know you're going to be up there vacationing for the summer, maybe stay there all summer at your family cottage and work up at the hospital. So that's what, again, I love you have those opportunities just for the summer, which are sometimes harder to get for students. So, so lots of great opportunities. So thank you for sharing those. And Hannah from Mary Free Bed, if you'd like to share a little bit about, again, those opportunities and then how they would go about applying to those.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do, like I said, volunteer services. So we have a specific college student volunteer program, and it's actually a 15-week program that is run off of Grand Valley's semester. So it starts May 8th and it's done August 18th. So rolls right in with your guys' schedule. And it's an opportunity for students to get some clinical observation hours and volunteer hours. You end up with about 40 to 50 hours at the end of each session, which is great. And then we try to make sure that it's kind of specific to what you're looking for. So if you're looking for PT, looking for OT, looking for speech and language, stuff like that. So we do have that is readily available, and we're accepting applications right now for summer. But then we also do have lots of paid roles that are open right now. We have everything from nurse techs to rehab techs, CNAs, MAs, lots of different things like that that are all going to be clinical. And I know a lot of our volunteers have moved into these entry-level roles, and then as they come back or they're going through school, they've said that's really benefited them to start in these areas, and you get to see a lot of different things. But then we also have things like HIM, we have EVS techs, we have nutrition, we have security, we have lots of different areas that maybe if you're not totally set on healthcare, there's other things. Like you said, this is a whole working city essentially in here. We got lots of different areas. So I, in the chat as well, put in the volunteer services and the recruitment team's emails, as well as pages to the application for volunteer services and then our career page. So you can look at all of those openings. So there's lots of different things that you can look at here at Mary Free Bed.
Perfect. And I know in the past, it's somewhat, I would call called competitive, but to even volunteer, you are starting, usually have a list at some point that, you know, how early would you recommend a student get on that list? If they're thinking that, you know, I want to start volunteering next week, realistically, that's not going to happen. So kind of when would you recommend them to start thinking about getting on your list to volunteer?
I'll say we already have a list started for fall. So if you are
Wow.
thinking, you know, hey, you're gonna, yeah, go away for the summer, you're gonna go back home. If you think you want to maybe do this in the fall, feel free to reach out. We've already got our list started. I've even had few recently look at next winter, and I'm like, that's like a year away. I can't look at that yet.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
And then is
definitely
there,
reach out sooner rather than later.
yeah, perfect. And then I think too, do you have a minimum requirement? If any of you want to add this too, as we're talking, a minimum amount of hours to volunteer at the organization per week?
Yeah, so we expect our volunteers to do at least one shift a week for 3 to 4 hours. So that ends up being about that 40 to 50 hour mark by the time you're done with the 15 weeks. So we do expect you to be here, to be consistent, so that you're getting the experience and our staff are getting the help that they need as well.
Okay, thank you. No more questions, I promise. Okay, Jessica, on to
Very
you.
good.
Tell us a little bit about what you have available.
Yeah, thank you. I would say most of our positions that we have available for students are paid positions. So we hire a lot of students in our resident aid roles. So that's direct patient care for the geriatric population that we serve. We also hire a lot of students into our med tech role. So they're passing meds to our residents, which is a great, we have a lot of nursing students actually that maybe start as a resident aid and then move into that med tech position. It's great because our positions don't require the certification. So you don't have to go through that class to become a resident aid or a med tech. And kind of the more non-clinical side, we also hire dietary aides, cooks, housekeepers, recreational therapy assistants, front desk attendants. We also do have some volunteer opportunities, but most I would say are paid positions. I did put in the chat the link to our full job postings. Currently, I also created an unlisted posting just for this group. So if you want to apply and put what you're interested in, what shift you're available, how many hours you're looking for, we can kind of see what's available. We're very flexible with students. We hire a lot of Grand Valley students being right down the road. And we're currently hiring right now for some summer float opportunities. And then we also have on-call opportunities as well. And we only require 3 shifts a month for on-call. So
Right.
and
Again,
it doesn't matter the length of shift.
perfect. And again, as I mentioned, you're right in the backyard of Grand Valley, so it does make it easy for those who maybe don't want to drive really far. So thank you for that. And creating that group is, I love that too. So that'll help us help you fill those positions. So,
Yeah.
all right. So Kara, you know the question, what opportunities do you have and how do they get involved?
Absolutely. I think so. I would say if you're needing volunteer hours or an internship, our hospice volunteer program is really a great option. It's really flexible, lots of opportunity to really experience what it is and to really challenge, I guess, our culture's fear often around death and dying. And you're going to learn what what it looks like, what it is to experience somebody dying well, which is a very powerful thing. And no, not for everyone to be a part of, but definitely if you're looking at entering the healthcare field, it is a powerful experience. Again, super flexible and adaptive to whatever your schedule may be. For the hospice volunteer or internship opportunities, we can really work around whatever your schedule is. Whether it's volunteering 2 hours every other week, or whether you want to get more hours in, 10 to 20 hours a weekend, we are super flexible with that. We love working with students, and definitely students. There's so many amazing opportunities here today. I'm all the employees that are present here. So I'm sure everybody feels the same way. We're attending this because we love working with students. So don't hesitate to reach out to any of us on this. So in terms of really summer jobs, jobs throughout the year, paid positions, we are often hiring CNA positions. We have an entire non-medical division. So if you're looking for some direct patient care, but you don't want to really jump completely in, but you'd want that patient care piece, our non-medical division would be a great place to start. So really, whether it's home health or hospice or non-medical, we can really put you in charge of your own schedule. It's really autonomous, pretty adaptive to whatever you may need. We're growing. We have a Medicare 5-star rating, and we're really proud of that with our organization. So we're really always looking for quality, compassionate, passionate individuals to serve, whether volunteer or internship or a paid position. We're really open to all of those pieces.
Can you kind of give us an idea or give students an idea, what would a volunteer may be doing working with a hospice patient? Like what would be their role as a volunteer? Just to give them an idea, because I don't always know what that hospice world looks like. So what could they expect in that role?
Yeah, I appreciate that question. So it can look a few different ways. So we're pretty sensitive to the fact that not everybody wants to sit with a hospice patient. So there are actual administrative pieces that need to be done to run the hospice division. So we welcome volunteer hours or intern hours utilized for really administrative purposes. So lots of different roles in terms of that. And then if they are wanting to, be around patients and such, we would do the onboarding focused on the fact that they're wanting to, maybe be a companion volunteer, which would look like them sitting with a hospice patient, really being present, just the power of presence. And maybe it's doing a puzzle together, maybe it's listening to music together, reminiscing, asking some guided questions so that that patient can share some of their life journey with them. It can look like taking them outside, just a variety of pieces with that. A lot of our patients are in their own homes, and so that's the other unique part of this is, they may be in an assisted living facility visiting their patient, and they may be in the patient's home. About 80% of our patients are in ALFs, but that ratio kind of changes a little bit. So that's another unique part of this. So those are kind of the context pieces.
Okay, thank you for that additional information. All right, Jeff with Helix Scribe, what opportunities do you have?
All right, I couldn't get to unmute. No, great. So the opportunities that we have, really, I'm just talking about one position. So I'll make it simple. So really, you're shadowing doctors throughout their day. They could be in the emergency department or medical offices, and you have a computer with you, and you're really engaging the electronic medical record. But in that meantime, as the providers are seeing patients, you're in the room and you get to see how they interact with patients. You get to see from admission to discharge, their decision-making. Why do they order the tests they do, the labs, the radiology, the decision-making process you get to observe, which is a great learning opportunity, especially if you're looking to work in that capacity in the future. So how do you get involved? Well, first is our website, which is gvsu.edu/scribe. Pretty simple. You can apply online. And if you go through our process, it's 8 weeks of training, mostly medical terminology. And it's at the doctor's or APP's level of writing those notes, right? So it's very advanced. But in that process, you get to learn how to engage the EMR environment and then work with Helix one-on-one in the clinical environment. So how that works when you're involved there, we have different medical offices in West Michigan. Those positions require availability Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, because that's when the doctors and APPs are seeing patients in those offices. So if you're looking into your fall semester, and I would probably say this is true for others here as well, if you can carve out a day where you don't have any classes, or even 2, that would be ideal. Because that really helps open up those opportunities for you. Because a lot of students, you imagine, if they're busy, they have weekends and evenings free. But if that is the case, you're too busy for daytime shifts, we have emergency departments. We're at Corwell downtown. And so those offer opportunities of weekends and evenings, or even some overnight shifts, if that's your thing. So yeah, lots of opportunities there. And did I leave anything out, Stephanie?
I'm thinking you got it. Yeah, I know. We've talked many times in the past, so I'm thinking you got it. But you did kind of help me with my next question, because I know I sent the panel all kind of the questions I was going to ask, and we really covered a lot of them. But Jeff, you did mention something about training and having that. Is that training in person, online? Is it paid training? And then for the rest of you panel members, if you do have anything you want to share about the training or expectations for training and onboarding, I'm just going to kind of leave it open. I'll do kind of a popcorn, whoever wants to jump in. Maybe you don't have anything, but Jeff, we'll start out with you with that training. Is it paid? Is it in person? Kind of tell us a little bit about that.
Sure, absolutely. So the first part of our training is in Blackboard. So it could be 3 to 5 weeks. So it's, trained by our faculty. So it's free training, which we think is of some value. The clinical training, there is a stipend of $200 or $400, I think it is, for your efforts in person, or the effort that you're contributing to the charts during those times. So that's the emphasis of it. But of course, it's a paid position once you're hired by the company.
Okay, so the training, does that guarantee if you're hired, you're trained, and that guaranteed you're gonna be in a position?
Absolutely.
Okay, what if somebody goes through the training and they're like, yeah, I don't like this, or I can't do this? Is that, what happens?
Well, that does happen, unfortunately, but we're a very supportive program. And if that is the decision, then of course we honor that. But we want to help you with your goals.
Sure, and that it's such an amazing opportunity for students to get that on Insight organization, but also the fast pace, learning with different doctors, communicating, get to see the whole environment. And then you do have a commitment. Is it a 1-year commitment, or is that something that's once they're hired and in that role?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So the free training comes about after you put in about 2 shifts a week for a year. That makes up that difference, what the company has invested in your training. So yeah, thank you for that question, Stephanie. So they do ask for 2 shifts a week. That said, let's say your scheduled shifts, you're no longer available during the day for an office shift. You could transfer to the emergency department. So you cross-train different specialties to help accommodate your schedule. So that's one of the added benefits of the company as well.
Yeah, awesome. That is such a unique opportunity. Anybody else want to share anything about training, onboarding? I'm going to kind of keep it a little bit vague here, but if anybody wants to share that what they may have within their organization.
Yeah, I want to jump in right here just in terms of the hospice volunteer opportunity or the internship opportunity. We do require a 2-step TB test because you could be going into assisted living facilities. So that's something that not everybody is aware of.
Okay, yeah, those onboarding or those health compliance is something that we need. I think everybody in Grand Valley does have a health compliance site that we can potentially will provide that information when we follow up with those who registered. Make sure you're aware of the health compliance for working in healthcare. Thank you for bringing that up. Anybody else have anything with training, time length? Because I know some of my bigger organizations, you have so many different opportunities. It's hard to say this is what training looks like. But anything you want to share about training or onboarding?
I'll just mention, obviously to work in healthcare, we do a background check and fingerprinting that we pay for. You also have to get a physical and a drug screen. We do a TB blood test actually. So we don't do the skin tests anymore. And then once you're on the floor, we do provide typically 6 to 8 paid training shifts alongside another employee, just to make sure everyone feels comfortable before they're on their own on the floor.
I think that's so important because we get a little intimidated thinking I've never worked in a hospital or healthcare. I have no experience. Am I going to expect to know what to do right off the bat? But I know these are all supportive organizations. So thank you for providing that too. And Terry, did you have a question about or a comment about training?
I can tell you that with training for our volunteers, there's an online education, and then we do a 2-hour group orientation, which is very interactive and fun, get out of your seat, but really focuses on all the important things that you're going to need before you go up on those floors. And then once you're assigned to your floor, then you will be trained on your very specific floor, where things are, meet the staff, those kind of things. And there is a list of requirements for volunteers, and that's on our website.
Perfect. Thank you. Anybody else have any comments regarding onboarding or training?
I think this is Ebony with Trinity Health. I think I can echo pretty much what the team has said in regards to onboarding and requirements. We are very variable in the schedule, but there is some structure to the onboarding and the orientation piece where it requires, like on Wednesday, there's definitely going to be an on-site requirement for orientation if you're in a direct patient care type role. The summertime, we get a lot of students that onboard with us in the summer where they're more freed up to, quickly do as close to full-time orientation as possible before they get onto that more flexible as they're available type schedule.
Okay, I think that's important for students to realize too, that there are some flexibility with hours. So maybe summer you do more hours during the holidays, Christmas, potentially the opportunity to do more. And then as your courses get heavy or whatever, maybe a chance to minimize a little bit more of that expectation. So wonderful. Anybody else have any other comments on that? All right. So I guess that my next question would be, and I think we may have already covered this, so we'll just see if anybody has any other comments about what would be the next step a student should do right now. If they listen to this, should they connect with you, just go online? We'll just kind of go around real quick. What are the next steps to get involved would be your preference? So Terry, what would, if they wanted to volunteer, I'm assuming go on that volunteer website that you put in there, they dropped in?
Yep, the website is a great place. I also put in the chat our volunteers at spectrumhealth.org email, and you can email us. We're happy to talk to you and kind of go through the requirements, and we do a pre-screen to make sure that you're a good fit for us.
Awesome. Okay, Ebony.
Yes, so I also dropped the Trinity Health website into the chat. That website will take you if you're looking for volunteer or if you're looking for actual work. Feel free to apply to any position that you are interested in. We have a team of talent partners. If you're applying for a position that is within their respective area, they will reach out to you within 24 hours of you applying. If you have any questions for me, though, I can definitely funnel your questions, resumes, or whatever it is that you would like to send to me. And I can be reached via email as well. And it's Ebony, EBONI .Saunders, SAUNDERS at trinity-health.org.
Greatly appreciate that. I think sometimes too, in the world of technology, we crave somebody to talk to or somebody to respond to us because we put out, a resume or whatever, and we don't hear anything back. So I am so appreciative of your willingness to talk with students directly and help direct them. Absolutely. Michelle, what about Munson? What's the best way? What's the next steps for students?
Well, as with Trinity, it really kind of depends on what route they're going. If they're looking for a paid position, I dropped in our website for our careers opportunities to peruse all of the opportunities that are available to them and just apply, and a recruiter for that particular area will reach out to them within 24 hours. I will also provide my email, my direct email, if anybody wants to reach out to me, and then I can make that connection. There is, for the volunteer services, there is a form on the volunteer website to complete, to get in touch with that group as well. It really depends on the opportunity, and it depends on the location.
Okay. Yeah, I get it. You guys are big systems with lots of opportunities. So thank you. Hannah, what about you? What's the best way for Mary Free Bed?
Yeah, absolutely. So I included a link right to our application for the College Student Volunteer Program in the chat. So that would be for our next session coming up is May through August. So still accepting applications for that and ready to go. I also included an email for us, and then same with our career opportunities. There is a link that's directly to our career page, and then also included our recruitment email as well. So either one, we're both happy to chat with you and answer any questions, or at least like guide you a little bit if you have questions about what would make the most sense for you. But otherwise, both those links and emails are in the chat.
Perfect, thank you. And Jessica?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, I put our direct link to our website in the chat, as well as the unlisted job posting that I made strictly for this group. So if you're interested in applying, you can feel free to apply directly there. I will also put my email directly in the chat. If anyone has any questions, I would be happy to connect.
Thank you again, I appreciate it. And Kara?
Yes, I will put my info again in the chat. We do screen our applicants, whether it be for a volunteer, intern, or paying position. We are a family-owned and operated company, so we really do take that personal approach to every single one of our applicants, whatever position it may be. So we do want to speak with you, so definitely reach out with the information I'm putting in the chat box.
Perfect, thank you. And last but not least, Jeff, how do they apply to Scribe? And I know we talked a little bit about this already, but let's rehear it.
No, that's fine. Yeah, and our website, I also put in the chat my contact information. It's also at the bottom of our website. Again, gvsu.edu/scribe. One thing I just want to highlight, one thing that's unique to the Scribe role is typing. So if you're really interested in scribing, I recommend to continue to just start practicing typing. There are a lot of free online tests to get those skills up, because it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, students may not know what that scribing is. So basically you're taking some notes, right? You're listening to the doctor and the patients and then kind of taking notes of what's going on, correct?
That's right. Absolutely.
Okay. I think we've got about 15 minutes left, so I'd like to open it up to the students if they have questions. You guys can put it in the chat box. And Megan, maybe it can help facilitate, if you just have a general question to the group, or if you want to target it to a specific organization. We'll see if anybody has any questions.
Right now, there's nothing in the chat.
We'll give them a second here. So I guess while people are thinking about maybe what to talk about, I'm kind of curious about, we talk a lot about company culture, how would you describe it? I know it's kind of a big question, but as a student coming in, like what can they expect? I'm not going to go around, whoever wants to share, how do you think about culture? What does culture mean to you? And what does culture mean to a student maybe coming into your organization? Maybe that's a big question.
I always think that that's a difficult question when asked, like, what's the culture like? Sure. Especially not being clinical and on the floor. Like, I know, all of the awards, best place to work, best diverse place, being magnet status for nursing, all of those things are part of culture. But, from a non-clinical standpoint, one thing that I can share with students is my working relationship with the unit managers. Very collaborative, open door, free to express, community, that type of thing. We're also nonprofit, faith-based. So our mission and our values are rooted in the gospel. However, we have all walks of life that work for us, of faith, no faith. We do make up the community, and we make that up in our colleagues as well as the patients that we serve.
Awesome, beautifully stated. And I know it's a pretty big question.
What's your culture?
It is that, sometimes there's just a takeaway, something you just love about your job that you want to share. But I do see we've got questions coming in. So the rest of you are off the hook about talking about your culture, but let's first get to our student questions here. Megan, if you want to kind of start fielding those to us.
Yeah, absolutely. They're flowing in. So thanks, students. So one of the questions was, how long are typical shadow shifts?
I can say 4 hours. Trinity Health, we will schedule a shadow for up to 4 hours or less.
Hannah from Mary Free Bed, that is the same way we do ours as well. We do job shadows for 4 hours or less, and we'll do those with PTs, OTs, rec therapists, EAs, speech and language pathology, kind of across the board.
Awesome.
Yeah, for the scribe role, we don't offer shadowing. It's just part of the job. But usually the doctors want to scribe the whole shift. So it's usually 8 hours.
Yeah. And you're getting paid.
It would be a 4-hour shadow for Munson as well.
Okay. Sounds like that's pretty much the consensus. Another question?
Okay, excellent. We have a lot of sonography students at Grand Valley. And so there's a question, is there any place specifically that has volunteer opportunities for sonography or MRIs or anything to do with imaging?
I think we did hear one imaging. I think Ebony talked about imaging, but anybody else have any?
So, I was going to say that's a really good question. And I personally myself just learned that our career coaching department, they actually schedule shadows for non-applicants in the different units. And I'm assuming that MRI and imaging area would be one. I would have to look into it and get a contact or an email, and perhaps I can send it to Stephanie. But I just learned that is something that they do.
Okay, thank you.
And I should clarify too, some of our students that are on here are pre-sonography, so they're not quite yet in the program.
Mm-hmm. Yep, career coaching actually meet with colleagues as well as non-colleagues, just to kind of go through a whole process of, what is it that you're really interested in? Sometimes we say we're interested in something, but the results show something else. So it's a really big department, and that is something that they provide shadowing in units without being an applicant.
We don't have anything specifically for volunteers in sonography, but I do think that the experience of being in a hospital setting and seeing what it's like to work directly with patients and building your empathy skills. We have opportunities on our ortho and joint replacement floors and in our cardiac units and our med surge and our emergency departments, our neuro units. So I think there's so much value in just learning what it's like to be in the hospital and what patients feel like and what they go through, that regardless of what you're going into, if it's healthcare of anything, it can be a benefit.
That's huge. And I think sometimes too, students don't realize maybe they're pre-PT or pre-something, and they want an internship as a physical therapist assistant. I'm like, well, those don't really exist. So I think sometimes they don't understand that those are usually reserved for students who are in programs that have the clinical affiliations or rotations. So getting any experience, I would say, in a hospital is going to benefit you, just to get knowing what that environment looks like. Because it's hard to find a clinical internship if you're not in a program. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I just don't know. There's not a huge amount of those. If you're not in a program that's not affiliation, it probably is not a huge amount out there for the students. So get these opportunities, listen to these opportunities, and jump on them, because you guys have so many great things that students can do.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another question, shadowing is very popular. PAs and nurses, are those also opportunities that your organization would allow for shadowing?
Mm-hmm.
Trinity, yes.
Yeah, there's definitely shadowing
Freeman, yeah.
nursing units.
Munson, yeah.
I'm not sure about the PA. I don't, my department doesn't handle PA, so I can't speak for that, but.
And sometimes if you are looking for those PA shadowing, the Career Center here, we can kind of help. A lot of times we use LinkedIn, and LinkedIn has Grand Valley has a LinkedIn page in which you're able to look at our alumni that are PAs. And if you're not quite sure how to navigate that, we can help with that. But we have a network of, 700-800 PAs that have graduated from Grand Valley, and we can maybe reach out and do an informational interview, whether it be an email or maybe have an opportunity to shadow that way too. So if you are stuck with PA shadowing, I'm trying to figure out how to do that. That's what we can help you with that as well.
And a similar question, radiologists, does anybody have opportunities to shadow a radiologist?
I don't know. I know we have patient transporters in our radiology department. Primarily they are radiology students, but I don't know who a contact would be for the actual radiologist and his schedule.
Yeah, I would just like to say that a lot of the students I work with have an idea of one direction they want to go. And when they get into the field, they realize, whoa, there are these other positions, and they kind of a new idea of what these new positions do. Like there's respiratory therapy and others that kind of open your eyes. And so like working in the emergency department, for example, or volunteering there is a great opportunity to get a good view of all these different specialties from a general sense. So I just want to put that out there to keep have an open mind.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's why these volunteer and these entry level positions are so valuable, because you just get to see it and test it out. You're not committed to a specific path, and it really is the best starting point.
Mhm. Some of the
And-
dietary positions actually get especially people that are going to go into direct patient care, it gets them comfortable with talking with the patients, advising the patient, especially in dietary when they're special diet orders and they're taking their food orders and they try to order something that is not on their diet, being able to say, Miss Stephanie, it shows here that you are on a soft diet, how about this,
Yep.
So.
And that would be work well with even our not pre-speech pathology, but those wanting to be in speech pathology, because they are doing swallowing and feeding and issues. So there's a lot
Yes.
of actually therapies, OT even, I think that would be helpful. And there's a lot of occupations that I think that would be useful in the dietary area. Megan, we have a couple more questions before we've got a couple more minutes left.
Yeah, just one more question. The question was, is there any shadow or volunteer opportunities for pre-dental students? So I think we at the Career Center could help connect you with, local dental offices. I wasn't sure at the hospital setting if there were any options for dental shadowing.
Can't.
If you are interested in pre-dental, come talk with us at the Career Center. But one thing you could do is also just reach out to any local dentist. We've had a lot of students who've had success with that, being able to shadow there.
Yeah, and there are some couple smaller, trying to think, Megan, what is Holland Free Clinic and Cherry Health, and trying to think of another one that potentially provides those services for an underserved population. But again, as you said, come work with us. We've got some additional resources for that.
Yeah, and that's a great transition, Stephanie. I'm mindful of the time, so I'm just going to drop in students in the chat. You can check out the Career Center, and then most specifically, if you were interested, we have healthcare communities. And so if you were to take a look at, and let me just specifically go to the healthcare page. I will drop that in the chat, and we have added some new information about how to navigate how to be a healthcare student. So if you're wondering how to send an email to an employer so you could do some shadowing, we have some information there. If you're wondering about healthcare opportunities, we've connected it to our healthcare experience page, where there's a large list of shadowing, volunteer, employer opportunities as well. We love to bring on employers because it's a great way to get paid, and also, employment opportunities. It's a great way to get paid and also get some of that healthcare experience. So if there isn't any other questions from students, it looks like the chat is empty. But if anybody would like to take themselves off mute and ask a question, you're welcome to do that too. All right. And employers, did you have anything else to add?
I don't. Thanks for the invite.
Thank you so
this is
much.
Really great, really enjoyable.
We greatly appreciate the partnership, and we hope to fuel your pipeline of talent and students. I know a lot of people that go on and end up, they were volunteering once in an organization and you end up being employed there years later. So it is a great way to get your foot in the door early on of an organization and learn about who they are and their culture and the opportunities. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.
Oh, is it still taping? Oh.